What's your problem? What's your problem? I don't get what your problem is.
All right. Hi, my name's Adam.
I'm Jason.
Welcome to another episode of What's Your Problem, where we discuss current issues in distance learning and education. We have a great lineup of topics, guest stars, and a few other surprises this season, but more on that in the coming months. For now, here's Kaylynn to introduce our first problem of Season 3. Kaylynn?
Thanks, Adam. Let's think back to when we learned how to ride a bicycle. I think we can all agree that there was a struggle at some point, and while that point is different for each of us, most of us overcame it and could successfully ride a two-wheeler. This concept, which has been instilled in most since childhood and still plays a part in everyday life, is practice. Practice is such an important part of being successful at home, in work, and especially at school. Even professional athletes know what we're talking about.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Exactly, Iverson. It is just practice, but that practice helps you get ready for the big game, like practice exercises help students get ready for a big exam. So Adam, Jason, how can instructors help to ensure practice is helping students prepare for their assessments?
Thanks, Kaylynn. Our first solution for making sure practice gets you ready for the game is to confirm that the practice looks and feels like the course's higher stakes assessments. According to Northwestern University's Searle Center for Advancing Learning and Teaching, quality practice used at various points during a term improves learning, motivates students, diagnoses a student's strengths and weaknesses, and helps students reflect critically on their own learning. The key word is quality. If we learned anything from Patches O'Houlihan in the incomparable film Dodgeball, it's that if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. He didn't say if you can eat a banana, you can dodge a ball, or if you can do a crossword, you can paint the Mona Lisa. If the practice doesn't feel like some aspect of the test, the students are more likely to struggle when the time comes to dodge that ball. Practice should mirror or scaffold towards the assessment task. Practice matching court cases to their decisions. You can now discuss the effect of landmark court decisions with other students. Practice putting the commands of an existing computer program in order. Now you can write the pseudocode for your own high-quality program. Practice dodging a wrench, now you can dodge a ball.
That's right, Jason. But in order for practice exercises to truly prepare students for an assessment, they must also give students an instant and accurate picture of what they know and don't know at the time. Practice exercises should provide instant feedback to students so that they can determine where they have a clear understanding of the material and where they need to spend a little more time before attempting the assessment. Practice exercises are a snapshot of where a student is at a particular moment in time and should provide information to that student in order to guide his or her preparation for the assessment. Think of it like a Fitbit. A lot of people wear one of these devices to help them track their steps, calories, exercise, and other fitness goals. Part of the reason they're so popular is because they're continually providing feedback, reminding you when you need to stand up, congratulating you for meeting an exercise goal, charting your calorie intake, and measuring all of it against an ultimate goal. That's what practice exercises should do for students. Tell them where they are currently meeting the goals of the course and when they may need to stand up, stretch, and take another look at the material.
So you have quality practice activities, you're providing opportune feedback based on student performance on those practice activities. That leaves us with one final topic, practice activities. To grade or not to grade? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the course to suffer the slings and arrows of trivial point distribution or by opposing points, have students skip them. We all know that perhaps the strongest incentive for students to complete assignments is to make them worth points. However, when it comes to practice activities, assigning points can actually be a detriment to the student and the activity overall. However, according to a 1996 study by Kluger and Denisi, in 1/3 of cases, feedback worsens performance because in those cases, evaluation is misguided. In other words, it was summative or graded rather than formative or guided in nature. Two necessities for any practice activity are that the stakes are low and the attempts at the activity are unlimited. Attaching a grade of any sort to a practice activity reshapes its purpose in the mind of the student. When practice activities are not graded, students have the opportunity to play with the content with no risk of adverse effects. They're able to make mistakes and learn from them, and an intrinsic motivation develops. Attaching a grade to these activities could discourage students from trying multiple times, especially once they earn all of the points. Basically, students start to treat them like another assignment rather than a chance to practice and prepare. Of course, a common response to not assigning points to practice is, well, why would students even attempt to practice otherwise? Remember Allen Iverson from the episode's opening segment? The reason that clip went viral was to make the point that even the greats face inevitable decline without practice. Musicians, leaders, athletes, and students alike cannot maintain their pretensions and greatness without practice. Quality practice will beget successful students, and unsuccessful students will seek out and benefit from quality practice. At the risk of referencing a second movie in a single episode, if you build quality practice, people will come. Finally, if you're firm on assigning points to your practice activities, it's a good idea to keep those points very minimal. A good rule of thumb is that the points for all the practice in a course should account for 2 or 3% of the course's total points. Furthermore, students should be granted unlimited attempts at those activities. That way, students will not risk negative effects from poor performance and will still reap the benefits of learning from their mistakes.
In summary, all practice exercises within a course should scaffold or mimic the summative assessments associated. This way, students get a feeling for the assessment that affects their final grade, and they get the opportunity to see what content they may need to review prior. Alongside the act of practice, students should be also receiving immediate feedback as they finish the exercises. This feedback should also allow students a little snapshot of where they are at in the course. Are they ready for the high-stakes assessment? Do they need to review a certain part of the chapter? This is how they will find out. Finally, while instant feedback is important, it's just as important that practice exercises are low stakes and provide for unlimited attempts. Quality practice is a valuable experience. Without that experience, students' knowledge will decline. Just remember, we're talking about practice.
What's Your Problem wants to hear from you. If you have an idea you'd like us to discuss in a future episode, or if you just want to drop us a line, send us an email or follow us on Twitter.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
What's your problem? What's your problem? I don't get what your problem is.
Welcome to Schoolcraft. Welcome to college.